WESH TV, your home for the 2004 Olympic Games. You're watching WESH News Channel 2, where the news comes first.
We are tracking 3 tropical systems tonight, but our biggest concern is Hurricane Francis looming large out in the Atlantic. Good evening, I'm Sally Schulte.
And I'm Tom Shadd. Our meteorologist is tracking that major hurricane that could affect us this week. Leslie Hudson is here now with the latest numbers on Hurricane Francis.
Well, some good news here from our 11 p.m. update, Tom, from the National Hurricane Center. Not a lot, but certainly a little bit will help. We've seen some weakening in Francis tonight. This hurricane now a Category 3. Still a dangerous hurricane, sustained winds 125 miles an hour. Still moving towards the west-northwest, but again, the good news is there's been some slight weakening. Let's hope that holds, and we see even more in the next couple of days. 18.9 north, 56.2 west, again, 125 miles sustained winds. Westward motion at 8, but that should change. Let's talk towards the west-northwest. Let's talk about the projection, though, 5 days out, what the National Hurricane Center thinks will happen. Well, the latest numbers place the hurricane right about over the northern Bahama Islands, and that means by, say, Friday, we could see potentially this system very close to Florida. The upshot is the margin for error for these systems is over 325 miles from the center. So even though we could see this system get very close to Florida, let me draw it out down here, and you can see, follow this number, not this one, 325 miles on either side of the center. So it could be as far south as Cuba or as far north off the coast of the Carolinas. So by day 5, everything could be a new ball game. We'll keep you updated on this, talk more about margin of error. And is this an unusual August with 3 systems? More on that coming up.
All right, thanks, Leslie. Francis, as you know, still way out there, hundreds of miles from landfall, but it is a dangerous storm, and with the effects of Charlie still fresh on our minds, many are preparing for a possible rare 1-2 punch. Just when we're recovering from this, Florida may get hit again.
Oh, that's my reaction to this event.
Goodbye, Charlie. Hello, Francis.
I'm getting a little uptight now.
Ann Taylor of Kissimmee lost power for 8 days thanks to Charlie. And though Hurricane Francis is days away from land, Ann is stocking up on supplies.
That's all I need. Thank you. Okay, I'll get that to you. Thanks.
Plywood, batteries, and yes, generators are hot at this Home Depot in Castleberry, thanks to a faraway threat named Francis.
And my suggestion is, you know, be ready.
Precisely what federal and state emergency response teams are living by this week. FEMA is still answering calls about Hurricane Charlie, while outside, the state emergency response team assured reporters it could handle Francis if she drops in next weekend.
We are going to respond to this. We are going to recover from it if we're impacted from it. Rest assured.
Now, this is a time rather to watch and listen closely to the forecast. If you think this is a fast and furious hurricane season, Leslie will come back in a few minutes to put it all in perspective for you, and she will continue to track Francis.
Orlando gets in on the President Bush bashing on the eve of the GOP convention. At the protest called Code Pink, people handed out pink slips for President Bush and Vice President Cheney. Yes, and you see there, some people even wore pink slips. Orlando Direct Action organized this to coincide with big protests today in New York, and that's where more than 100,000 protesters took over the streets on the day before the Republican National Convention starts. Tomorrow, delegates will fill Madison Square Garden. News Channel 2's Lori Kinney is in New York tonight to tell us about the preparations and the protest.
Well, things are pretty quiet here in Madison Square Garden tonight, but that will all change tomorrow when thousands of delegates and guests fill this arena. Outside Madison Square Garden on Sunday, over 100,000 demonstrators, including the Reverend Jesse Jackson and filmmaker Michael Moore, turned out on the eve of the Republican convention to send a message of protest to the Bush administration.
I'm against the war in Iraq, and I think that if George Bush gets reelected, we're going to be there a lot longer than he tells us.
I'm here because our economy is a shambles. I'm here because of the environment. I'm here because of the no education, no child left behind. I think that's enough reasons. Like,
A few dozen counter-protesters faced off against the anti-Bush crowd, all under the watchful eyes of police.
And a Broadway baby says goodnight.
While inside Madison Square Garden, performers rehearsed for the 4-day convention that gets underway Monday.
We have 4 nights of dynamic speakers who are going to be talking about the key principles for this president's agenda and his vision for the future. On the first night, we're going to have Mayor Giuliani and Senator McCain talking about the courage of this nation.
Vice President Dick Cheney visited the floor Sunday in advance of his speech later this week. Earlier, he visited Ellis Island, where the view of Manhattan includes Ground Zero. He urged commitment to the war on terror, sure to be a major theme this week. This convention is, of course, being held in New York, running into September, and echoes of 9/11 are likely to be frequent. That was a time when the terrorist attacks caused people here and around the country to rally around the president and the administration. Reporting from Madison Square Garden, Lori Kinney, News Channel 2. Erica, back to you.
Thanks, Lori. I actually spoke to some folks here to get their reaction to some of the demonstrations taking place even before the convention starts. We caught up with Republican delegate Renzi Hanshaw before taking off to New York.
I'm ready to go. I'm excited looking at all of the nudies and all of the folks on bicycles, and I've got my camera, and I'm ready.
Also ready, the protesters. Outside Madison Square Garden, more than 100,000 demonstrators gathered, coming from all over, like Melissa Case Marie from Orlando.
In Florida, we don't have a vote, so I figure I got to fly to New York City to be heard.
While these protesters are heard, some question how clear their message is.
They really want to wreak havoc instead of get political message out there. That's a little frustrating.
But each demonstration is different, from the thousands of environmentalists blocking traffic on bikes to a silent protest of shoes and boots being left, symbolizing those who died in Iraq.
There are a lot of people who oppose this war, and you will have legitimate anti-war protests.
It's not the terrorists that we're worried about. It's our own protesters. It's that whole ultra-left wing which is out there that wants to come and create some problems.
The Republicans would love to tie all the protests to the Democratic Party, the left wing of the Democratic Party, which is not true.
What is true are these protesters do have the right to free speech, and Renzi Hanshaw can't wait to get there.
Isn't that a beautiful thing about our country, that people have a right for peaceful protest, and those who get rowdy will be arrested, and people who are peaceful, God bless them.
Now, no violence was reported in today's march, although about 45 protesters on bicycles were detained. Sally?
Thanks, Erica. The convention starts tomorrow morning and runs through Thursday. News Channel 2's Greg Fox and Lori Kinney are there. They will be bringing us live coverage from Madison Square Garden all week long. Now, onto the Democratic side, Senator John Kerry will be laying low this week and having some fun. Kerry went windsurfing in Massachusetts today. Following tradition, Kerry will be taking a break from politics during the GOP convention. Now, here is a reminder for you. Primary election day here is Tuesday. Local election offices will be open tomorrow for early voting.
Other news tonight, detectives believe they solved a fatal stabbing that started as a case of road rage. Orange County deputies arrested Jose Manuel Sanchez early this evening at his home. Investigators say Sanchez made some admissions about his scene last night here on North Chickasaw Trail. Now he's charged with murder in the stabbing death of Harvey Berry. Deputies also say Sanchez stabbed John Thomas Ray and put him in the hospital, where he remains in stable condition. Sanchez was also wanted for stealing a car. An autopsy may reveal more about the body of a man found in Brevard County. A person walking near a ditch near US 1 in Titusville noticed a man's body and called police this evening. Investigators say the body may have been there for a week or longer. Right now, they are revealing little, including an identity, until they notify the man's family.
Sad news now. An 11-year-old girl struck by lightning last week after getting off the school bus has died. 11-year-old Erica Chappelle was listed in critical condition since last Wednesday. She was one of 4 students hit after getting off the school bus near Ocoee. The Orange County School District has since tightened its policy about letting students off the bus in bad weather. Thunderstorm clouds scrub tonight's launch at the Cape.
So they'll try again tomorrow night to get an Atlas rocket carrying a spy satellite off the ground. Last night's scheduled launch was postponed after 11,000 gallons of liquid oxygen spilled.
The new school year rings in tomorrow at Bethune-Cookman College. Students spent the weekend moving into dorms on campus, and we caught up with some of them today. The freshmen told us they have some jitters, of course, while some seniors, well, they're just ready to get out into the real world.
Nervous
nervous? A little bit, yeah. I don't know how it's going to be. Nervous a little bit.
The easy part is studying and learning and retaining information. The hard part is taking care of everyday responsibilities.
It's refreshing. I'm ready to finish and get out.
It's also a new start for the college presidency. Dr. Trudy Kibbe-Reed takes over as the school's 5th president. Dr. Bronson retired this summer. Okay, how about this? How would you like to run 23 miles in the historic Olympic marathon, then have the unexpected happen?
I know what you're talking about, the unexpected. Look at this, exactly what happened to the lead runner from Brazil. And ahead, this isn't the first time this attacker struck a major sporting event.
And now that the games are over, Athens is getting its post-Olympic scorecard. More on the lasting memories of the games coming up next.
And a meteorologist, Leslie Hudson. It was a quiet weekend weather-wise here, thanks in part to what was Gaston. We'll get you updated on all the tropics. Plus, look what's going on over at the coast tonight. More on that after the break.
Well, some students probably think about breaking out of school, right?
But 6 teenagers were arrested today for breaking in. An alarm alerted Orlando police to the break-in at Edgewater High School about 1:30 this morning. They then arrested the 15 and 16-year-old boys. Investigators are still working this case. They won't say what those teens may have been up to.
And the head of the Southern Baptist Convention's on quite a mission to baptize 1 million new Christians. Reverend Bobby Welch got a big send-off today. The pastor of First Baptist Church of Daytona Beach is taking a bus called Kingdom Challenge. It's on a 25-day, 20,000-mile road trip. He'll make about 70 stops at Southern Baptist churches.
It'll be a wonderful face-to-face personal encounter with these people across the country. All different kinds of churches, all different kinds of ethnic groups, all different kinds of color, but all together in the kingdom of God for Christ.
Reverend Welch pulled out this afternoon. His next stop tomorrow morning, Charlotte, North Carolina. And he might be paying a lot less for gas. Gas prices haven't moved much lately, but that could soon change. Oil prices are dropping, which means gas prices may soon follow. Gasoline has fallen about 20 cents a gallon since May, but don't forget, Florida prices go up Wednesday when the month-long gas tax holiday ends.
Well, what would the Olympic Games be without some controversy? Take a look at this video. With just 3 miles to go in today's historic running of the men's marathon, Brazil's Vanderlei de Lima was attacked by a man who charged out of the crowd. De Lima ended up finishing 3rd. Now, police identified the attacker as a former priest from Ireland. And coming up in sports, Buddy Pittman will tell us why this isn't the first major sporting event this guy has disrupted. So with the Olympic flame now out, the summer games are over. So what will be the legacy of the Athens Olympics? Deirdre Fitzpatrick is in Athens with that story.
Good evening. Well, Greece may have procrastinated, but it certainly sprinted to an impressive Olympic finish.
USA! Ella! Look at that! Yes, my daughter.
Ted Hayes' Olympic experience? Outstanding.
My daughter not only made it to the Olympics 2004, but she became the Olympic champion and she made the Olympic record.
Joanna Hayes, winner of gold in the 100-meter hurdles. Greece?
Big surprise for everybody.
Winner of international surprise at the Summer Olympics went well.
It's more than we were expecting.
Nobody was expecting to see what they see here, even myself.
But the last minute, the Greeks in a Herculean form came through with classical form and pulled off probably will go down in history as one of the greatest Olympic events in history.
The legacy is that even when they were behind the 8 ball, they got it done.
Athens 2004, the Olympics returned to Greece. Now it's time for everybody else to return home.
I am happy, I am joyful, I am satisfied, and I'm exhausted.
And so is Athens. Next up, Torino, Italy in 2006 for the Winter Olympics. The Chamber of Commerce is already handing these out. They are promising a blend of tradition and innovation in Torino, which coincidentally is exactly what they were promising here in Athens. In Athens, I'm Deirdre Fitzpatrick. Now back to you.
Well, even though the Olympics have come to a close, you can still look back at all the action on the Ozone at WESH.com. Get the final medal count, event results, plus Mark Middleton's daily diary from the games. I got to tell you, I'm going to have Olympics withdrawal here. I was watching it every day.
You were. You really followed it probably the most of anybody in the newsroom, it seems.
Well, I don't know the most.
You
Mark
always had
Middleton's
that
on top of it.
Well, yeah, I guess he is. But, you know, about the basketball team, it's a shame what happened. But you know what? Maybe it's I don't want to say wake-up call, but it's probably going to be good for the future of men's basketball in this country
Let's
to see
hope
that
so.
they will get better in the future.
Hey, at least the women did really well.
They did. Way to go. Well, check out our own marathon man. Which one is he? Well, Jim Payne, our 5K man, one of almost 1,600 runners who took to the streets this morning to support the Orlando Science Center and hurricane relief efforts. Way to go, Jim.
Good job, Jim, and everybody else out there.
That's right. As Tropical Storm Gaston pushed through South Carolina, cleanup crews are already tackling down trees and power lines.
Yeah, the storm made landfall earlier today, packing 70-mile-an-hour winds. But the real threat to Florida could be Hurricane Francis. That is out there in the Caribbean. Let's go to meteorologist Leslie Hudson now. So Gaston is no longer a tropical storm, right?
Right. That's exactly right, Sally. Sally got downgraded to a depression at 8 o'clock tonight. In fact, the National Hurricane Center no longer tracking Gaston. That's a good thing because we got our hands full with Francis and Hermine, although we're really not too concerned about Hermine either, which is right here. Expected to move towards the United States for about another day or so, then get absorbed by what will be left of Gaston in about another day or so as well. So these two systems are done with. Of course, it's Francis that we're concerned with. But many folks in the newsroom tonight were saying, hey, what is the deal with August with these three storms? So we did a little research and take a look at what we found. On an average year, remember, we're forecasting just slightly above average year this year. We see about 4 named storms so far by August 30th. Well, we've seen 8, counting the latest this weekend. So it has been an above average year so far. Talking about hurricanes, on average, by September 24th, just about a month from now, we should see about 4 hurricanes. Well, guess what? We've already seen 4. So again, running ahead of schedule of major hurricanes, ones that are Category 3 or larger or stronger by September 28th, on average about 2. So we've already seen 3 this year. So it has been a busy year across the tropics, and hopefully it's going to get quiet here over the next couple of days. But we have to contend with Francis, as you know. Right here, this is still a Category 3 hurricane, but the good news is, again, as I mentioned, this system has weakened just a little bit. The wind's now at 125 miles an hour. The coordinates 18.9 north, 56.2 west, moving towards the west at around 8. Here's the projected path. Been right on target all weekend. We've seen a west to northwesterly movement, and then by day 5 over the northern Bahama Islands. But again, the trend that I'm seeing here is the shift more towards the north. So that's what we're hoping is going to be the case and not affect Florida whatsoever. But it's just too early to say. So we did a little more research. What has happened over the last 100 years? Of any system that is formed within 500 miles or so of Francis, none of them have hit Florida. That doesn't mean it can't happen, but historically they have recurved out into the ocean. So again, we're hoping that will be the case. Real quickly, here's some information on Gaston. Again, this one over the Carolinas is going to be a rainmaker for those folks. And here's Hermine, this one off the coast is several hundred miles from Bermuda, but that one not expected to be a threat towards land. Here's the information, 33.2 north and 71.3 west. Let me show you the radar here real quick, because we do have some showers out there that we've been watching. They're along the coastline. You can see them here. These will continue to move offshore, but that should be it for the rest of tonight. The bottom line, even if Francis heads towards Florida, we will see a low rain chances this week, swells by Thursday, and we will get some effects from Francis probably by Friday, even if it doesn't come to Florida. 73 for us tonight with partly cloudy skies. Tomorrow, 92, just a few storms with southwest winds at 5 to 10. And here's your 5-day forecast. 40 to 30% rain chances over the next couple of days. Still too early to say, but keep in mind, historically, we haven't had a system come to Florida where Francis is right now.
Good to know. But we'll be watching. Thanks, Leslie.
All right. Coming up in sports.
They're in the books. The Olympics are over. Hold down the applause, please. Final day and closing ceremonies coming up next. The Summer Olympic Games in Athens are over, and most everyone agrees that the host country of Greece did a spectacular job. Also doing a spectacular job were the American athletes as the United States emerged at the top of the medal count.
In the final day of competition, a most unusual finish to the men's marathon. Brazil's Vanderlei Lima was in the lead with about 5 miles to go. But then, out of nowhere, a man comes rushing out of the crowd, accosting Lima, pushing him to the side of the road. The man was wearing a brightly colored kilt, and Athens police have identified the intruder as a former priest, Cornelius Horan of Ireland. He is the same man that back in August of 2003 pleaded guilty in England to running onto the racetrack during the British Grand Prix. Lima was able to finish the race and captures the bronze. Italy's Stefano Baldini won the men's marathon in a time of 2 hours, 10 minutes, and 54 seconds. And even more surprises as naturalized American Meb Keflegi finished second, capturing the silver for the U.S. That is the first marathon medal for the U.S. since Frank Shorter back in 1976. The U.S. added another gold medal on the final day, this one in boxing, as American Andre Ward defeats his Belarus opponent 20-13 to capture the gold in the light heavyweight class. That is the first light heavyweight gold for the U.S. since the Seoul Games back in 1988. The games officially came to an end with the closing ceremonies. Soccer star Mia Hamm became the first soccer player to ever carry the American flag in the closing ceremonies. It was a gala evening indeed, showcasing the Greek culture. The festivities included the passing of the Olympic flag from the mayor of Athens to the mayor of Beijing, the site of the 2008 Games. The Olympic torch was extinguished, and the crowning touch, a massive fireworks display. The final medal count has the United States on top with 103 total medals, 35 of them gold. Russia was second with 92 medals, and China is third with 63 total medals.
Now, of course, after you win medals in the Olympics, where do you go next? To Disney World, of course. Olympic swimmers Michael Phelps, Ian Crocker, and Lenny Krayzelberg will be at Disney on Tuesday showing off their Olympic hardware. In Major League Baseball, the Boston Red Sox have been red hot as of late, winning 12 of their last 13. The Sox completing the weekend sweep of the Tigers this afternoon. Mark Bellhorn providing part of the punch at the plate with a 2-run homer. But the guy really getting the job done was Brevard County's Tim Wakefield, a knuckleballer. He gets the win with a 3-hitter. Boston over Detroit 6-1. The Yankees also lose, so the Red Sox are 4.5 back in the East. Meanwhile, the Devil Rays hit 2 home runs in the ninth to tie up Oakland at 6-all. It was Aubrey Huff and Jose Cruz Jr. doing the damage there. We're knotted at 6, but in the bottom of the ninth, it's Billy McMillan taking Baz deep, a 3-run homer, and Oakland wins it in the bottom of the ninth, 9-6 over Tampa Bay. The Marlins rock the Rockies. A.J. Burnett doing it on the mound, a one-man wrecking crew. A club record 14 strikeouts for Burnett on the day. Florida wins at 8-4 over Colorado. The Marlins are within 4 games of the wild card lead now as they pick up that win on the day. And in Atlanta, San Fran's Barry Bonds continues to close in on the 700 mark. 2 home runs tonight. He now has 696, only 4 shy of 700. San Fran's leading Atlanta 9-5 in the ninth. In golf, Woody Austin has 2 career wins on the PGA Tour. His first came back in 1995. His second came today, 274 events later. But it would go to sudden death. The Buick Championship we're talking about. Tim Herron sinks that birdie putt on the 18th to tie Austin at 10 under to go to sudden death. But on the first extra hole, it's Austin rolling in this birdie, and he gets his first win some 9 years after he got his first.
How old is Tim Wakefield anyway? He's been pitching forever.
And he's still got it.
He must be like 60 or something. I don't know.
Sports Extra back next weekend, right?
Next week, that's right.
All right, we'll be waiting for that. Thank you for joining us all tonight, everybody.
And the Olympics coming back with more after this.